Not a matter of if, but when crisis will rock your world. I'm Roshini Rajkumar, crisis strategist, licensed attorney, and host of The Crisis Files. In each case file, we explore hot topics in our quest to help you avoid the collision course to crisis. The Crisis Files productivity contributor is off the road and in the studio. She helps us drop nonsense and naysaying to live a more intentional life. Lots of talk about AI and robots replacing humans in the near future. Aimee is here to bust some myths in the case file I call Outsmart the Robots. Aimee, time management. In general, you say it's not about just finding those hacks and tricks, but it's about being productive in the digital age.
I think we're treating productivity and time management still like it's 10 years ago, like it's 2015. And we keep stacking new tools and new ideas and concepts on top of each other, hoping that we're going to feel more productive. And I think what's happening is AI is creating this unknown of how are we going to compete with AI doing what we know, which is, again, stacking these tools and these productivity strategies. And my thought is we need to actually flip that on its head and go, we can't compete with AI. We need to beat it at its own game. We have to be more human in our time management and our productivity. So I'm not fearful of AI in that way, but I think we do need to rethink when we say productive, what does that mean?
Right. There is a bit of a productivity paradox, as you call it. There is nothing that replaces good work. And sometimes it's hard work. And sometimes you just need to do it yourself. I mean, I'm thinking about the office that I'm very, very long overdue in clearing. I need to sit down and do it. And you've taught me in your times on the show and knowing you, maybe you can't block half a day here and there. Maybe it's one box today, half an hour tomorrow, and do it in bite-sized pieces.
There is always something more we could be doing. And that is the trap of trying to be more efficient or optimize and always trying to do more. There's always going to be more we can do. So how can we shift our thinking to how can I be more effective? How can I create a bigger impact? And when we start thinking about impact and effectiveness, we're not thinking about the nuts and bolts, that worker bee mentality. We're starting to think more, how can I think and do this smarter? How can I be more strategic? But I always say more tasks are always lurking. They're always waiting. So it's really not about how can I do something faster. It's how can I do it better.
How can you do it better? And there is a bit of a digital overwhelm, which has been just creeping and creeping and creeping to now where it's full-blown overwhelm. How do we deal with that?
It's good to sit just with the truth that productivity tools romanticize productivity, right? They are designed to engage you. And this is where a lot of people have a hard time coming to this realization. They're meant to trap your attention. So they're tools that are sold to you for you to be more efficient with your time and be more productive. But in reality, they do the opposite in many ways. So one is just realizing that you need to step aside and determine really what you need to thrive. And I would say there's this fundamental coming back to what are your goals? What is the organization's goals? What are your personal goals? And really deciding, okay, what is essential? So I always say I've got 3 pillars for productivity. One is just slowing down. And then 2 is simplifying before you do anything, because when you slow down and when you simplify, you can really start to come back to what is that thing I'm trying to accomplish.
And what's truly important.
Yeah, because we do get so wrapped up in, there's this tool to optimize my time this way. And products are the same way, right? There's this product I can buy, and that's going to optimize my time. But there's something called like the acquisition bias, where, if we acquire this thing, it's going to solve a problem.
And a lot of times we're spending money on that thing.
Always spending money on that thing. And in reality, the answer is generally pulling back. It's usually removing something is the best answer.
You do talk about shifting from measuring time spent to measuring strategies and strategic ways of thinking about things.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot more of this work with my clients because, again, we have the tools. AI is there helping us be more efficient with email and communication and data analysis. So what do we do when AI can process faster and recognize trends faster than we ever will be able to? And that really is recognizing our human nature in our role, whatever that might be. And that is recognizing what are the problems I can solve or that need to be solved. Can I pinpoint issues that the organization hasn't really noticed yet? And so that would be providing impact. And again, people don't always think of that as being productive, but it is, and it is moving forward. It's not about widgets. It's not about the time spent in meetings anymore. It's about what can you do for the organization? What can you do for your goals?
I think of a line that my strength trainer says to me at the health club. The goal is the goal. So if your goal is to get more lean muscle on you, don't go chasing down these other two things or this other thing over here. The goal is the goal. And for me, as I'm dealing with recovery from a knee injury, the goal for me is to get back to continuous running where I don't have to do as many walk breaks. And I can't even think about the marathon down the line right now. I've got to just get through running a mile without needing to stop. So the goal is the goal, which is continuous running in this particular time in my life. And I can imagine how at work or at home, when it comes to these tasks and the kinds of projects you're working on with clients, they need to remember the goal is the goal.
They do. And I think it's really important for no matter who you are in any organization is you need to connect to that goal again. And sometimes that is sitting down with your boss or peers within the workplace and just reminding yourself what that goal is. What I've found is, especially since the remote work has become so popular, is people get disconnected from the goal and you just get on that wheel, that reactive wheel, and you're just doing the tasks that make you feel productive in the moment. But what's happening is at the end of the day or the end of the week or the end of the quarter, people aren't feeling fulfilled. They're not feeling productive. And I really think that's because of that disconnect from what is that goal. And sometimes people say, I don't think my role is really connected to that higher organizational goal. And my work usually with them will say, no, this is how you are connected. You just have to get in alignment with what those goals are.
Aimee has written about and has taught me it's important to distinguish between being busy and being valuable. What do you mean by that?
Busy, I think busy is, everyone knows what busy feels like, but what busy looks like is you're attending those meetings, you're answering those emails, you're helpful, you're responding and reacting to when people need you. There's value in that. But I don't think people feel value when they're doing that, right? They feel valuable when they are identifying problems within the organization and they're doing creative problem solving, or they're able to spend time and think strategically on what would propel the organization forward or their company forward. And I think why people don't give themselves time to do that is it feels wasteful. To slow down, set aside some time in your calendar, your week, even a month or a quarter to say, no, I'm going to spend some time working strategically on some of these goals, which means I'm not going to be able to be as responsive to the coworker, to the colleague on some of these.
Or I'm not answering every email as soon as it comes in.
Exactly. It feels good in the moment, but that's just our brains kind of tricking us because, again, at the end of the day, you're not feeling as fulfilled. So I think the key is really setting aside some time proactively every single week to work on what I call the beyond. Right?
I like it.
We're always in the behind or in this week. But to work on something that's in the beyond, and even if that's incremental progress, it's going to feel good. It's going to feel like, okay, I now have agency. I'm in control of my time. But we've really outsourced so much of that to our devices, to email, to Slack, to still meetings. We are still in so many meetings.
One of my clients told me the other day that she was happy to have a flight kind of changed on her. So she had this day that she was supposed to be away that she got back. And so she said, instead of my usual 15 meetings, I had 6. Like, neither sounds good, but okay, I guess that's a win. But I mean, that's what we're talking about. So you specialize in hybrid and remote work. I want to get into that because you have talked about a remote advantage. Mm-hmm. And right now, all over the United States and even in other parts of the world, employers, bosses are calling people back to the office. And it's getting a lot of pushback in some spaces.
It is. And I think the number one thing we hear from employees who are pushing back is, I'm way more productive at home. I think what they're really saying is, I'm not interrupted as much. I feel more in control of my time. They can take that minute to pause and reflect before they respond, right? So now we're talking about, instead of this immediate reactive communication, it's more asynchronous. They're able to really take some time to think strategically. But I will say that there's advantages to being in person as well. So I see both sides of the coin. But I think where organizations are missing the point of that value of remote work is they didn't really optimize what that looked like. They didn't give their workers, their professionals, a template for this is how you can think strategically and add value, right, from being away. And again, I'll go back to, it's that ability to be on your own, slow down, and proactively take some time to just think more strategically. Like, what are the goals, and to be able to do that. I'll also say offices, I always say they're theater of busyness. There is an audience for everyone. And whether you mean to or not, I think everyone engages in that theater when they're in a workspace together. So
lots of things to think about. I do want to get into AI, and I have my visual aid for us. So this was just from a recent Wall Street Journal, and it's talking about a certain topic, but in this future of everything section, what caught my eye and made me think of you, drones at your door, robots are trying to fix food delivery. So it's a big article that I'm going to dig into in the Wall Street Journal, but it made me really think about today's conversation that we're calling Outsmart the robots. Ultimately, humans do not want to believe that mechanical robots will take our places. Where are we when you look at your work and you have an inside look at so many industries and workflow?
I believe that, if you're still fighting the robots right now, you're missing the point. They are here to stay. They're just going to get faster, more efficient. Again, with that processing power, we are never going to be able to compete. So really getting clear on what you offer as a human being. And I think that's collaboration. I think that's creative problem solving. And yes, AI is going to gradually get better at that as well. But just to be able to go, okay, I have critical thinking skills, AI does not. How can I leverage that day to day? And I don't care if you're a data processor or you're in the C-suite. There are opportunities to leverage AI to give you more time back so you can spend more time thinking strategically. And that is going to give humans the power in the end. And I know that the optimists in Silicon Valley who are developing all this AI power, they believe that too. They're very optimistic. They believe that this is only going to make us more productive. But again, we have to redefine as a society what is productivity then.
And what is ultimately the goal, and what's the beyond, to use your term. I just love that. Yeah. Well, we are so grateful for you on the Crisis Files as our productivity contributor. You've been with us all 3 seasons of the show. I've known Aimee for so long. In my previous life, having my own Sunday radio show, she was also my productivity contributor on that show. But one of the things that some of our Crisis Filers may not know is that you live in an RV. And I think it's such a great microcosm of efficiency. If you could just give people that snapshot of why you decided, what does your day-to-day look like? She's off the road, that's what I said at the top, to be here with us in studio today. What is that like? Because I can't imagine it. First of all, my shoe closet would have to really be minimized, and I don't know if I could take it.
Well, now after 7 years on the road, and I think we're over 40,000 miles traveled.
Wow.
The space is nothing. That was an easy sacrifice for us because what does everyone crave? More freedom and flexibility. And this lifestyle really gave us that freedom and flexibility. There are tremendous trade-offs with how I run my business, with how my significant other does his work. But it's really interesting because I feel like this lifestyle actually pushed me more in my career because I realize we all have that common thread, which is we want more freedom and flexibility. We want to be able to enjoy our lives. And so my experience on the road has taught me, again, it's not about optimizing and staying busy and doing the most I can, but it's really doing the things that matter so I can do the things that matter. Right. And so
well said.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. There's no end in sight. We plan on doing this indefinitely.
So 7 years.
7 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I knew you pre-RV, and now 7 years in, some great stories. The other thing that is also just fascinating, and I want to congratulate you, you would never know if you didn't know already that Aimee lives on the road because you've got your regular newsletters, you're active on social media. We make sure we get you on the show. You've been with us all 3 seasons. And this time around, we made sure Aimee was in town to book this date to record with you so you could be in our studio with us. So it is possible to be a business owner and do it from that RV.
It is. And I'm in my 2nd year on the board of directors for my national association as well. And that's been really interesting to show our members and other board members that you can do anything from anywhere. That's the beauty of the technology.
That is the beauty of the technology. I was going to say, like, that wouldn't have been possible 20 to 30 years ago by any means. And even in the last 5 to 10 years, so many amazing new inventions. And this is the point. Human beings are flexible, they're resilient, and they're brilliant when it comes to adapting to new environments, which is so great. Well, you can get more Aimee, connect with her directly, ask her about the RV life at lifedonesimply.com. Today's case file is powered by Northwing Digital. Northwing Digital is driven by a simple mission: help businesses succeed. Guided by core values, trust through transparency, and GSD, get stuff done. Northwing specializes in SEO and paid digital ads that deliver measurable results. From Google search to paid social, strategies that help your business stand out and grow. Make your marketing dollars work harder. Visit northwingdigital.com to get started. Northwing Digital, your partner in growth. Rate, review, and subscribe to The Crisis Files on your platform of choice. Follow us on YouTube and Instagram at The Crisis Files. Visit thecrisisfiles.com for all 4 seasons of the show. I'm Roshini Rajkumar. Join me next time on The Crisis Files.